Hello and welcome to today's Health and Sanity Calls. I'm Dr. Joe, a professional speaker who helps busy people stay healthy, sane, and productive. And during these trying times through the pandemic, I'm here to support you in keeping you healthy, sane, and productive. Today we have with us Carol Ring, and with a name like Ring, it's probably no surprise that she spent 24 years working in the telecommunications arena. And she's also been recognized as one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women. She's the CEO of Culture Connection, helping business leaders make the workplace a happier place. That's super, isn't it? And today she's here to talk with us about, well, tell us, Carol, why are we here?
Thanks, Dr. Joe. It's so great to be with you and to share with you some of the tips that I've experienced over the years that I've gained from wonderful mentors and executive coaches about how to really get through these turbulent times. Because this isn't the only time that times have been turbulent. And so I can remember a time back in my career when I was a rising executive. I was married, I had 2 young kids, I was head of the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, if I was just like the poster child for saying yes to whatever needed to be done. And quite frankly, where I ended up with all of that was in a huge state of overwhelm. And I'm sure that that's exactly where so many of our audience members are right now, whether they're working on the front lines, supporting us in the grocery stores, bounced out of work and wandering around the house figuring what's next. I think we're all sitting in that place of overwhelm right now.
I think so, Carol. And you know what, you brought up a good point. You said, I've been through this before. And my guess is if we all think back to a period of time in our life in which things have been chaotic for whatever reason, I think it will help us to realize that this too shall pass. We'll get through it. We lived and maybe even thrived through those other periods of our life. I remember my daughter when the pandemic first came up, and she was kind of panicking and worried about her 2-year-old daughter and how she was going to handle it. And I said, Allie, do you remember when the house flooded? Now, we have a history in Houston. Our house flooded twice. And each time it was a major disaster, a good 6 months out of living in the majority of the house. We might have a room or two, or we were in a hotel. And I said, what did you think about that? And she said, I remember it being fun. Yeah. I said, exactly. It wasn't fun. Yeah. But you know what? We turned it into something fun, and that's how you remember it. And you'll do the same thing for your child. And I think it's important for us to all of us can go back to our past and remember a time when we struggled.
Right? Exactly. And I was so gifted during that time of struggle that I was telling you about from an executive coach who gave me this fabulous exercise, which is what I want to share with everybody today. And not only am I going to share the exercise with you, but I'm going to share a little worksheet for you. So if people want to get access to the worksheet and to take part in it after we finish our discussion, this is where they can go to get it. It's at my website, www.carolring.ca/personal-values-exercise.
And can I just add?
Yes, go ahead.
It's just a downloadable PDF. You can print it. Nobody's asking for your email address or name. Anything. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, my gift totally, because I know how powerful this exercise was for me. Mm-hmm. And I just want as many people as possible to get that same experience.
Thank you.
So what you'll find when you open up the PDF is there'll be this list of all these words. There'll be values-oriented words like fun, creativity, financial stability, control, travel, all these things that you might potentially enjoy. And what I encourage everybody to do is to go through the list and check off all the words that resonate with you. The words that, oh yeah, I like that word. I'm going to pick that one. not the words you think should be check marked.
Thank you for adding that, right? Because especially women, we have a lot of guilt about what we should do, right?
Yeah, there are no right or wrong words on this list, but pick the words that really resonate for you. And you'll go through the list a couple of times probably, and you'll probably find somewhere around 15 to 20 words that come in play. And then it's really interesting to go back and reflect on those words, because you will see that there are some themes that come out, words that kind of go together. For me, I have a theme around family and friends, social interaction. I have another one around integrity, respect, and honesty. And everybody will come up with different themes and different words and different combinations. Again, no right or wrong. And then the third step in that exercise is to actually name that theme, because who's going to remember all the words? I mean, come on. There's so many words in my, yeah, I don't know about you, but there's only so many brain cells in my head these days. And so I name them. And so, for example, that integrity, respect, and honesty value, for me, that's my Gandhi value. Now, other people may not see Gandhi in the same way, but it's just personal to me. My family, friends, and social interaction value is my chapel value. And I have another one that's about adventure and travel and creativity, and I call that my Crocodile Dundee value. So there you
Oh,
go.
cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so this is how you learn
that's good.
about.
That's good to put those labels on it. You know, I came up with words like design,
Mhm.
expert, problem solving.
Great.
And as I was putting those down, I thought, no wonder I'm doing these calls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could be sewing masks. I know how to sew. I could
Yeah.
be serving at the food bank. I know how to do that too. But thank you very much for that exercise, because it made me feel like, no wonder I'm doing this. And I am on track. But what would I call all that? Design, expert, problem solving. I put creativity in there as well, because I
Right.
think you have to have creativity when you're solving a problem.
Right. So I would encourage you to think of a person or a place or a thing
Ah.
that kind of wraps that feeling that you get when you say those words together. Maybe it's
So
the name of, go
I
ahead.
was thinking project development, but see, that sounds so boring. Um,
You know, so for me, you know, and it's not easy to come up with these, but like my Crocodile Dundee one, it's sort of something about adventuresome and fun.
yeah.
You know, Gandhi just means to me, I'm very um, honored by the track that he took. Honored's probably not the right word, but just fascinated by his steadfastness to a cause, right? I mean, I could have
Mm-hmm.
picked maybe Mama Teresa, who knows? But
Right,
just at
right.
the moment, it was maybe I was watching Gandhi movies or something at the time. Who knows?
That's super. Now, in all your experience in working with executives to help them to identify personal values, do you have a story of someone who was living their life in alignment with their personal values, and maybe another story of somebody who was off track?
Right. So this is the whole purpose of getting clear on your personal values, is because when you follow your personal values, and let's face it, nobody's going to be perfectly aligned all the time, every day. Let's get clear about that. But the
So I
more,
do have to wash the dishes, even though
yeah,
it's not important to me.
yeah, and I have to vacuum the house too. So, you know, and it's not important to me either. But but I care about my husband. He's part of my family. So
Mm-hmm.
vacuuming the house is a means to an end,
Ah,
a means
there
to an
you
end.
go. That's,
Yes.
that is a good way of thinking about it, right?
Yes, that's right. But that's the point, right? We want to do more of the things that resonate for us. And in this time of overwhelm, especially, we want to try and figure out what are the things that will make me happy and how can I do just a few more of those things. So that example you gave today of where you're doing these shows, you could be sewing masks, like you said, but you'd much rather be working in the creative world. And that's what's giving you energy and giving you a, a feeling of accomplishment and moving forward and out of overwhelm in these times.
And I feel like I'm reaching more people at a time where there is so much negativity out there on the news, on social media. I wanted people to know I'm really big on the serenity prayer and letting people realize there's lots of things we can't control in the situation, but let's focus on those things that we can change, that we can grasp hold of. And so what you're doing is just a fabulous little thing that we can do to make our life more joyful. So give us some of those examples that you've run across.
Right. So when you're out of alignment with your personal values, that's when stress comes in right away. So if you are feeling stressed, the very first thing you need to do is to check in with your personal values and say, what's going on here? So let me give you a real life example from my background. When I was in that telecom industry, I was one of the few women. It's a very engineering oriented industry. And back when I was in there, it was very male dominated. And nothing wrong with that. It was just the case of the times. And as I mentioned, I've got this big integrity value, my Gandhi value. But those men at that time were also the way to win was just to yell over each other, right? Very aggressive, lots of testosterone going on in meetings. Nobody was collaborating. It was just, how can I win? How can I win? I want my point to win. And that really would stress me out because that's not the way I want to work with people. And there was no respect. And it was just, from my perspective, it was ugly. And I would get stressed at these meetings. And I've learned that there's 3 things you can do when you're in a stressful situation. And the first thing is to recognize that it's short term, that this is not going to last for the next 20 years of my life. And I think that's important in today's world when we're stressed about everything that's going on, is to recognize that we will get through this. This is not our new normal for the rest of our lives. So just recognizing that it's short term, taking a breath, stepping back, and just saying, okay, I can get through this. I can get through this. The second thing is to try and change it. And I don't know how many times I would try to change the dynamics of the meeting, to try to encourage people to build upon ideas and things like that. And sometimes it was successful, but a lot of times it wasn't.
It's hard. It's really hard to change other people. And I always say when I'm talking about trying to change other people, how difficult it is to change the people who love you. And if they won't change for you, what kind of chance do you have on people that may not really like you all that much?
That's right. And they value something different, right?
That's right.
And so while I found it stressful because I felt that they weren't being respectful, they may not have felt that at all. Their own personal value may have been that, I'm bringing so much to the table because I have so much creativity and I'm bringing my creativity to the table and you guys need to hear me type of thing. So it was an interesting dynamic, for sure. And then the third thing you can do when you're in a stressful situation, and this is really that chronic stressful situation where it is going to be around unless you make a big change. And that's what happens when you're stressed at work every day, every week, every month, every year. And you've done your best to try and make it, but you know what? It's just a wrong fit. The values of the organization and your personal values just aren't a good mesh. And it's not that one is wrong and one is right. It's just you're a square peg in a round hole. And so that's when I really encourage some of my mentors, some of my clients to, I know it's a difficult change to make, but take that opportunity to think, what would you like? What kind of work environment would be better for you? And then try and find ways to seek that out,
Yeah. And I would like to add, there's sometimes a mesh between some of those. I guess that would fall under 1 and 2, meaning sometimes you can be in a work environment and you don't like the roles that you've been handed. And sometimes just speaking to the powers that be might help to redefine your position, say, hey, I'm really good at this. Is there any way I could work some of this into my job position? And I know that I've been successful at doing some of that. In other words, sometimes the rest of the thing doesn't change any, but the fact that I'm doing one thing that fits in with my values makes all that other testosterone, perhaps, as you were talking about, it makes you not even notice it so much. It's just noise in the background rather than someone that's beating on your head. It
Yeah.
just makes a different sound, right?
Absolutely. And I
Yeah,
encourage people to do that all the time. So if you like to teach or to serve and you're not getting that in the workplace, well, maybe you can sign up for Lunch and Learns and
that's right.
be that person to help bring more education.
Be that champion to help other people. Right.
Absolutely. And that way that energizes you because when you're
Yeah.
doing things you love to do, let's face it, we're all energized. We forget where we are. Time goes
Yes.
in a flash. And then as you say, then you go back to doing some of the other work. You're more energized and you can get through the rest of the other work because you've had this great time in there. And I think the same thing speaks for right now, whether we're working, crazy hours or we're struggling, is to try to find ways to bring more of those things that are important to us into our days right now to help us stay energized and get through this.
This is a wonderful exercise. And like I said earlier, it is simple. It
Mhm.
took me about 5 minutes to run through and group some of these. And I have to say that I do believe that I've done something like this in the past. And so I felt really good that I thought, my gosh, I am on track. I
Yeah.
am.
And it's a great exercise to do with your family right now. If you're
Mhm.
stuck with your spouse at home, and it's a great exercise to kind of reconnect with each other and remind each other about what's important with each other. It's a great thing to do with your teams at work, in the workplace too.
Well, thank you very much, Carol, for sharing this insightful wisdom with us. I know it'll be helpful for everybody, and thank you very much. There you go. There's the website. Download it. Like I said, no name or email address is required. It's yours as a gift
Yeah.
from Carol Ring. And check out our website as well. That's on there too, carolring.ca. She's calling in from Canada, hence the CA. So thank you very much, Carola. I hope you have a fabulous day, and to the rest of you as well. And we'll see you on Wednesday.